To the One Celtic fans view. I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic tonight. I hope you've had a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. And it's a Thursday, one day closer to the weekend. It is one day closer to the weekend and one day closer to Hibs away. One day closer to Hibs away. Will Brendan Rodgers make any changes? Will Brendan Rodgers make any changes to Hibs away this weekend? That's the big question, and I think that he will. But before we talk about that, Reo Hatate has taken to the world of social media. He has taken to Instagram yesterday, a bit like all the players. But he very rarely does any interviews in English, Reo Hatate, and he very rarely posts in English. But yesterday, he put up a post saying limitless possibilities. Limitless possibilities. Is that cryptic? Is it the fact that he may be going to another team that regularly plays in the Champions League? Or was it the fact that he just thinks that Celtic can go a lot further than what they did this season? What's your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on it? I just think that it's Reo Hatate just thinking that Celtic, given some more quality players, how far can they go? How far can they go? Or is it the fact that he's thinking, yep, I've got possibilities on other teams around Europe? You never know, do we? We never know. So, first of all, we need to say good evening to everyone that is in. Stephen Johnson's in the house. I hope you're well and family, mate. I hope everyone in the One Celtic Fans View community. Hope you're doing good, Stephen. Wee Paddy's in the house. Hoops. Tiberius Hound is in the house. Tarmac is in the house. Dave Morton's in the house. Lindsay Greenwood also. I said last night, Maida would minimum 35 million asking price, but I changed it to 50 million with the stats he has. Yep, I think that when we look at hopefully Celtic do not have a buyout clause written into his contract that is something ridiculous like 25 million. When you see the stats of the Champions League and what he regularly has done in the Champions League and the fact that he scored goals in the Champions League, it gives us fantastic leverage. And even though, he's bound to have just a couple of years left on his contract. Let me just see when his contract runs out at Celtic. Yeah, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Which, in Celtic, according to Transfer Market, only value him at £8 million, which is ridiculous. It's always ridiculously low, that website. But he is only contracted until the 31st of May 2027. And his agent is GEB Entertainment. He did sign that new contract extension on the 6th of July 2023. When Brendan Rodgers walked in the door that summer. Will Celtic offer him, with 2 years remaining on his contract, come the end of this season, only 2 years remaining at the end of this contract, will Celtic make sure that they sign up Dyson Maida for at least a minimum of a further 2 years? Will they give him a further 2 year extension? Maybe, I would say even 3. Look, if he's only got 2 years left on his contract, tell me in the comments. Baz, that's only for his shorts. Yeah, is that? Tell me in the comments, how long of a contract extension should we be giving Dyson? He is only, he's only 27. Another 2 years takes him up to his 29. If we've just got 10 million for a 30-year-old striker, we could keep him another 3 years at Celtic and give him 25k a week Greg Taylor was looking for. Yeah, over and above whatever it is he gets just now. Because I think that he is a fantastic player. And you want to know? Does that every night. 3 years extra, says Paul Baird. Tommy Gallagher says 3 years extra also. I would like to think that just get the deal done. I don't think there's any argument about signing him up. 4 years more, Baz, says James Clark. That would give him another 6 years at Celtic. Tays Wayne's go to secondary school, says Hank. Offer 4 and see what it comes back with. The Wayne's on a 20-year deal. Get the Wayne's on a 20-year deal, exactly. 3 more years, says JT Boy 67. Or uni. Lindsay Greenwood says just sign him up until his kids go to uni. Simply. It needs to be 50k a week. But will the board pay that? Will Dyson Maida need or expect that kind of money? You've got to remember, we bought him for 1.6 million, which is nothing, absolutely nothing to see what he has done for us this season. And maybe it's took him a few years to just get settled in at Celtic and really come to the forefront and get back to his best. Give him a contract until the 10 extension for him and Brendan. Nobody even mentioned being snapped up by an English club. I don't even want to think about that, because I think that the fact that he is on a 2 year, there's 2 years left on his deal, you would like to think that Celtic and Brendan Rodgers would sit down with him and say, Dyson, do you want to stay here longer than the 2 years? And if he says yes, do you know, what's KT going to be on when he comes? 35 grand a week. He's taking a massive wage cut and he's going to be on 35 grand a week. Jamesy boy, good evening. Offer him now before they come in. I think we do. I think that give Dyson Maida 50 grand a week. I would say you're upwards of. If you remember back to when Jota left Celtic, there was a clause in Jota's contract at Celtic saying if Celtic had an offer of 25 million for Jota and they didn't accept it, and if the player wanted to stay, his wages would jump up to 45 grand a week. Now, nobody's actually knows what Jota's on. It's never came out. It's never came out what Jota's came back to Celtic on. And that would be interesting, because once you find out the parallel, I mean, Jota, it wouldn't surprise me if Jota was on the best part of 40 grand a week. And if he is, you have to put Dyson Maida in the same bracket. You have to put him up there as one of the highest earners at the club. If the club have any ambition at all of moving forward, I don't think Maida is money driven, says Jamesy boy. But that's why I was saying it. I mean, you look at the low wages that he was on when he was in Japan. He was fantastic wages for a football player. But then he came to Celtic and I think we were only paying him something like 6 grand a year or something, 6 grand a week or something ridiculous when he first came to Celtic. And he's thinking, oh, that's crazy money. You know, people in Japan don't earn that kind of stuff. But Jota and KT have made their money. They're back for the football reason, says Brown Warrior. Get them signed up until Dyson's missus walks with a Zimmer. Or Japanese boys want away. It's hard to keep players when they have other ambitions. It's a shame, but the reality, well, what is the other ambitions, Kev? This is the picture that Dyson Maida put up on his Instagram last night. Limitless possibilities. Now, if the possibilities that he's talking about is achieving success at the highest level of European football, if it means getting to the last 8, if it means getting to the last 4 even of the Champions League, or does it actually mean just going to play at another level? And maybe that's what Reo Hatate's on about. You know, the limitless possibilities. Is Reo Hatate thinking, do you know, there's so many leagues that I could go and play in. There's so many leagues that I could go and play in that have got absolutely fantastic opportunities and fantastic levels of football outside Scotland. Now, it then remains to be seen, does Dyson Maida fall into that? Scotland or Spain, Italy, Germany, whatever suits the samurai. Top 5 league, etc. Money is limited, career and time, and so on. Yeah, but we don't know if Dyson... I mean, Dyson's in the national team. He is in the national team, so... it's a hard one. It's a hard one. And without knowing what's going on in the background, I mean, all we can do is speculate, and all we can do is wish that Dyson Maeda does stay for longer. And maybe the fact that his wife and kids do love it here. You know, there's a lot to be said for that. And are the kids at an age? But it's footballers, you know. There's a lot of other professions, and there's a lot of people that I know that have had to uproot their kids for work every 3 or 4 years, due to the fact that they're working in different parts of the world. So it is nothing new. It is nothing new, and it's nothing that's unique to just football players. And people have to do it. It'll be interesting to see what happens this summer. I've got a funny feeling that this is going to be a summer of highs and maybe lows when it comes to transfer activity. Rio will definitely be in the go in the summer, says Paul Baird. Yes, Paul, I've said that since the end of the transfer window last summer. I thought this would be the last year that we'd manage to hold on to Reo Hatate. I think that even Brendan knows that we have to bring in someone that's a little bit tougher for European levels. I mean, if Rio says that it's limitless possibilities to go to other countries and play football, the one thing that maybe goes against Reo Hatate is the fact that he doesn't track back quick enough. But that's for other managers to find out. Listen to us all desperate for Dyson trying to pick his life out. Don't leave us, Dyson. Yeah, exactly. Don't leave us. Some big player will go, but who? Yes, you're right. And listen, I think we can start to think that are we getting ahead of ourselves? Are we putting Dyson Maeda up there with the likes of Henrik Larsson, who wanted to stay at Celtic to prove a point, to want to stay at Celtic because Celtic gave him everything? Nico Kuhn has come into Celtic and said, look, I don't want to go anywhere else right now because Celtic believed in me. Nico Kuhn has went through 5 different clubs before he got to Celtic, before he got to play at this level. He wants to repay Celtic by not even thinking about moving. Is Dyson Maeda similar? Or is Dyson Maeda getting nitpicking for the international manager saying, you really need to go and play at a higher level? Or is playing at the Champions League and is being one of the top stars statistically in the Champions League good enough? And I would say yes. I would say yes. It's the highest league that you can get in European football. It's the highest level that you can play at. Paul says, you never heard anything from the Zombies getting bigger and versatile? Yes, I have. I'm not even interested in it. We've heard it all before. It's a new Craig White. What are you going to call them? The 2012ers? We're Chefco 2012ers. Man, it's fucking great. That's an Aussie accent, Buzz. But anyway, do you know what I mean? Who cares about them? We bought Kuhn for $3 million. Scouting did a great job. They did. And the fact that many people seen Kuhn as a journeyman that wasn't maybe going to make it at this level. And he's proved them wrong. Do you know? And maybe that's the way that we need to go. We need to start finding these players that other clubs just haven't believed in to a certain extent, and they have had a little bit of a journey throughout their early career. the 2012ers. Henrik scored over 30 European goals for Celtic, says Tommy Gallagher. He did, but he never scored 4 in one season. Which puts Dyson Maeda ahead of him, which is a strange thing to believe. Paul Murman, yes, apparently Rangers are going to be the richest club in Scotland. What, again? Remember how that worked out the last time for them? The Sinn Feiners. 49ers take over, and it's the same guy that took over Leeds. Is it? Oh God, that worked out well for Leeds. Anyway, the Japanese manager don't like him playing in the Champions League, then he's a fool, says Mon the Tick Mick. I agree with you with that. And Celtic should be rebranded the Vatican FC. Papa Francesco, ole. Oh, again. Oh, dear. Exactly. Again. You're going to be the richest club in Scotland, man. It's fucking brilliant. The Rangers are back. We're coming. Craig White FC, Marks 2, 2025 edition. Anyway, who cares about them? Clementine's 49ers. Oh, Jesus. Right, anyway, get back into talk about the team this weekend. Will Brendan Rodgers make changes to the team this weekend? We've been talking about Dyson Maeda and the fact that his contract runs out on the 31st of May 2027, which then puts Celtic in this summer in an impossible position, realistically. They either cash in this summer on their biggest investment, I'm just looking at some of the... Tomoki Iwata has got the same agent as Dyson Maeda. I'll tell you one thing. I think we need to go looking at this... GEB Entertainments Co Limited, because there's some players that are centre forward, 800k, attacking midfield player, 800k, attacking midfield player, 800k, left back, that's left midfield. Tell you one thing, there's a few players in there in the price bracket that Celtic could go in and get a good turnover with. And the fact that Dyson Maeda is one of the most expensive clubs on their books. Second expensive on their books. Interesting. Central midfield player. Right winger. Defensive midfield player. Nah, anyway, interesting. Right, team this weekend. According to his Scotsman paper, Rangers have called the story speculation. It's pure speculation, man. Nobody's coming into the Rangers. We all know that's not happening. It's, the fact is Dave King still owns Rangers, so Dave King's no selling his shares to a bunch of Americans, is he? Brad says, I wanted out and wanted to play, and it wasn't guaranteed. With Calmack being there, Brendan Rodgers didn't want to let him go. And look at him flying now. Yeah. Look at him flying now. But it's the same. It's Maeda will know who's worth a look at Japan. Exactly. Dyson will know who's worth a look at Japan. They've never done a good job for Kyogo. It's not the same agents. Iwata is the same agent as Dyson. Is he? I can't see Iwata on that list. Oh, he is. Oh, so he is. Tomoki Iwata. He's got the same agent as Dyson. Oh, that's all we need, isn't it? That's all we need. How much did we sell him for? Let's say we sold them for $1 million, 1.3 million. God, I hope he had a big selling clause. 1.3 million. Is that all we sold Tomoki Iwata for? Well, there's no chance we're selling Dyson Maeda for 1.3 million, that's for sure. Cheers for that. That's just put us in an even fantastic position going into the summer. So we can all just say just now, it looks like he'll be off this summer then. Good luck to Iwata and good luck to Dyson Maeda. Brad, I am with you with that one. We need someone better than Iwata. We need a big 6-foot enforcer in the middle. I would agree with you with that one. When you look at the size of the players and the physicality of the players that were playing in Germany for Bayern Munich, And although Celtic held their own, and people will say, well, look at Messi, 5'4" or whatever he bloody is, tiny, but he was a fantastic player, still is in America. But I do think that we need somebody to boss the midfield, and especially since a lot of teams in Scotland are going down the route of getting big, tall, bulky players that can't play football, but they're just there to knock players off their arse. I think that we need bigger than 6 foot, a Wanyama type player, yes. The Champions League teams are huge compared to us. Yeah, they are. And a lot of, but they can play football. They're not just big, lurchy players like what they are in Scotland. Do you know, you can think of likes of the Motherwell team, Hibs back line. I mean, there's loads of teams in Scotland that have got big, tall players, but they're just crap. Bun's market cap is currently 28.7 million. That isn't a lot of money to risk at Baz. 28.7, is that all they're worth? Jesus. I suppose that's a good return for £1, eh? It's a good return for £1 when you look at it that way. It's all pure shite, that is. Where's all this money come from? Exactly. Paul Lambert in that team would be class. On the tick, Mick. If you put Paul Lambert in the current Celtic team, I mean, who would be your ideal midfield player over the years? There's a question for you to go in the comments. Who over the last 20 years would you like to see in that midfield? Take Reo Hatate out. You've got one player from the past of Celtic's past, in the past 20 years. So we can't go back any further than Martin O'Neill's team. Right? No, you need to go back further than that for Paul Lambert. Who would you take from the past to put in this current Celtic team? Lubo, Wanyama. Lubo's a good choice, actually. That's spot on, James Clark. Chris Commons. Paul McStay's too long ago. Stan Petrov. I would go with Lubo. Moravchik. I would go with Moravchik. Virgil van Dijk's not in the middle. He's a defender. Commons, not. Is Commons, there's one for you, right? Is Nakamura, that's a good shout as well. That's a good shout as well, Nakamura. Oh, this'll get you going. This'll drive you nuts. This one. I'm coming up with a poll. We do like a poll on this channel. God, this will split you right down the middle. This is 4 cracking options. 4 unbelievable options. Who's the better player? Commons. Chris Commons with his wife, who, when he was up at Aberdeen playing, his missus got on the pool table in a pub just 5 minutes walk for Aberdeen ground, and she went up there on the Govan Emerald bus, and she stood on the pool table and singing the Rebel tunes and saying, "Don't tell Chris about this," while 20 guys were standing videoing her. Anyway, who is the better player? Chris Commons, Lubo Moravchik, Stan Petrov, or Shunshuki Nakamura? Nakamura. 72% is going for Lubo. If you had one player that without a doubt could fit right into this current Celtic team. You've got to remember, this is a current Celtic team that have only managed to get to the knockout playoff place in the Champions League. Something that these players never managed to do under their managers. Lubo was different, but crazily talented. His missus is massive Tim. She is that if you're talking about Chris Commons. Petrov worked the hardest out of all of them. Yep. Lubo, without a doubt, 70% at least. Lubo, 72%. Chris Commons, poor Chris Commons is away down with 2% now. God. I wouldn't have picked Commons. I would rather have the Derry Pelly over Commons. Come on. The Derry Pelly over Commons. If he stayed off of the drink long enough, he would have been a fantastic player at Celtic. He's one of the only. Paddy McCourt is one of the only guys in modern day football that is up there with all the talent, but had the drinking attitude of our players from the 1980s. Lubo both footed. No Thompson. Thompson was a winger. Thompson was more a winger. This is four players that could potentially play in the middle of the way that Celtic play with a midfield three. So that's why I picked these players. These four players could all play in the middle of the park in a Brendan Rodgers team of a midfield three. It's where Alan Thompson is as fantastic a guy he is. And met Tomo many times. And he would be a winger for me. Definitely be a winger. But Lubo's on 65% now. Stan Petrov and Nakamura are biting into it. Come on, get the votes in. There's been over 1,000 people in the live. There's only 293 at the moment. Where are they all gone? Where are they all gone? So yeah, that's a nice one. Absolutely heartbreak that we never found Lubo earlier on in his career. I think that people around the whole of you're grassing on his wife, Baz. Hank, it's hardly grassing on his wife, where it was all over Twitter at the time. I mean, my video on Twitter did over 70,000 views in a day. And then it got picked up by the Daily Record or the Sun or something, I can't remember. Tom's mother died recently. I said, I didn't know that. What happened to the Australian winger we had? He's still on loan. He is still on loan. Marco Tilio is still on loan down in Australia. He's still on the books at Celtic. Imagine if you had Lubo in his mid-20s. I think there's teams all around Europe would be saying the exact thing. Is where did this guy come from? Peter Grant, Jesus, come on. Commons was great for us. He was great. Callum McGregor's already in the midfield. I'm taking the midfield two, right? This is the midfield three that I would have in the current team. We're talking about the current squad, right? I'm talking about bringing one of these four players back from the future, right? Get them back from the past into the future, and you've got Callum McGregor, you've got Arne Engels, and then you've got either Chris Commons, Lubo Moravcik, Stan Petrov, or Sonsuke Nakamura. And I'd go with Lubo Moravcik, because you've got the holding midfield of Callum McGregor, you've got Arne Engels, who does his thing. You need a bit of spark, something special. And Lubo Moravcik gives you that all day, doesn't he? Lubo Moravcik. I would be, if we found Lubo when he was 22, because he only played for Dr. Joe. Yeah. Kaiser, where you been? Divorce papers? It's hardly divorce papers. She did a lot worse than that. His missus. She's done a lot worse than that. But anyway, let's start talking about the game this weekend. Yes, Celtic take on Hibernian. They travel through the capital to take on Hibernian. Hibernian, who've had some season. Remember that Hibernian were sitting bottom of the SPFL right at the beginning of the league for quite a while. They were sitting bottom. They were fighting it out with Hearts at one stage to see who would go down. And at that point then, Hearts and Kilmarnock were looking the likely to and hopeful. Lots of us were friggin' hopeful that Hearts and Kilmarnock would have one of those seasons that would see one of them demoted and thrown down to the lower leagues of Scottish football. Hibernian were also down there, but Hibernian now find themselves in 5th position in the SPFL. In the last 5 games, they've drawn 3 and only won 2. which puts Celtic in a fantastic stead. They are sitting on 34 points. Their goal difference is at 0. They're in a strange position at Hibernian because they've had 37 goals for all season and 37 goals against. There's not many times that happens in football, and when it does, it's always an interesting stat. They've scored the same amount of goals as they've let in all season. Celtic, on the other hand, have scored 76 goals so far this season, and we've only conceded 12. The majority of those goals have been conceded away from home. Will Celtic travel to the capital and keep a clean sheet once again? And will Brendan Rodgers ultimately change the team this weekend? Will Brendan Rodgers change the team this weekend? Brad's right in there first, and he's going for 5-0. Lubo sprinkled the magic. Yep. Dump Engels, bring on Naka and Lubo, says John Paul Murray. You're only allowed to bring one back. It's when you step into the DeLorean, and there's only one extra seat, I'd have to be the driver that would go back and get him in his prime and bring him back to the future. So you can only bring one player. Have you not seen the film? There's only 2 seats in the car. It's the way it is. As long as you and the family are good, Hooper the Hound says to Kaiser. Angling Ayrshire is going for 2-0. Wait a minute. We're not even talking about the scorelines yet. We're not even talking about the scoreline. We're talking about the team. Will Brendan Rodgers make any changes to the team? And I think he will. I think there'll be quite a few changes. The obvious one is up front. I think that Dice Maida will go back to being a winger, and that will allow Adam Ida to start the game again against Hibs. A lot of people will say, just play the same team. In fact, there's a poll. Would you keep the same team? He's not changed the team in the last 3 games. Yes, he has, because he's put Dice Maida through the middle. He had Adam Ida through the middle at one point. Spacey's going for 4-0 the Hoops. My pal lives in Thornton. There we go. He's got a DeLorean. So, could see him this weekend if he wants. That's all I'm saying. Paul McStay, Baz. I was here, defender. Paul McStay was way before the time that we were talking about. We were only going back 20 years. We were only going back 20 years. God, we could have gone back way further. And I would have had none of the 4 that were picked. And I would have had Paul McStay in. In fact, I wouldn't have had Paul McStay. I would have had Tommy Burns. I'd have had Tommy Burns in the team. But yeah, we're only going back 20 years. Bring them back in the steam in, John Simple. Right, some sense from Paul Baird. He's going for at least 6 changes by Celtic. At least 6 changes by Celtic and Brendan Rodgers. And 3-0 Celtic. Lanky's going for... Where did that disappear? Casper, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Trusty, Taylor, Callum McGregor, Reo Hatate, Luke McCowan, Kuhn, Ida and Jota. Do you think that he'll rest Dyson Maida? Do you think that he'll rest Dyson Maida after his exploits? And I wonder if... Yeah, that's an interesting one. Has to be a few changes. Maida needs rested, says Tommy. McStay was usual on the left wing. Giggs commented he would watch and learn from him. Interesting. Ryan Giggs wasn't too bad, was he? Ryan Giggs was a fantastic player. I fear Hibs games will be boring and flat. It's never a flat and boring game away at Hibs. Hibs usually put up a bit of fight against us. And with that stupid reduced allocation that they've now decided to give us, it'll be, you will never work out what Rodgers is going to do, says Jim McClarty. I've been close, Jim. I've been close. Some of the predicted teams that I've put out over the last couple of months have been maybe one player out. So I've been close. I have been close. Karma, please, not that channel. Where's that going? I'm in and out. Kaiser, I might be able to pop through on Monday. I'm only back. It's stupid. I can't say too much. Can't say too much. I'll tell you about it once I've got something out the way. But yeah, that'd be good, mate. Well, Baz, it's been 25 years since Lubo was here. James Clark, because I was one, isn't there? I was one. Let's finish that poll and finish it in 150 votes. And there's been over 1,200 people on the video. Who was the better player? Lubo on 64%, Nakamura on 21%, Stan Petrov on 11%, and Chris Commons on 1%. Amazing right backs. Agath. Was he a right back? Or more a winger? Juranovic, Frimpong, Johnston. Can't be said for the left side. Delighted Tierney's coming back. Yeah. I'll get a bus to the kingdom. Yes. I'm going out for a Sunday lunch. I could maybe meet up Monday and then I fly back out Tuesday morning, which is unfortunate. McStay was a box-to-box midfielder. He was that. Hope Brendan Rodgers keeps Taylor out of the team for the rest of the season, says Paul Baird. Craig says, I think our strongest 11 Rodgers record at Easter Road isn't brilliant. Anyway, Lubo all day. It isn't, is it? Brendan Rodgers' records. Are you getting a hair transplant? Nope. YouTube voted Commons. Yeah, YouTube voted Commons. Sign Nisbet for meat and pies in the summer. Taylor will pay. Need to get past pelted lip too. Oh my goodness. YouTube might nick Commons at 1%. Ian Roy missed the poll, but he'd say Lubo. He would say Lubo as well. Yeah, I think so, Lubo. So my team for the weekend, I'm going to go with Cameron Carter-Vickers at the back with Austin Trusty. They look like the two that Brendan Rodgers is going to... That's. I feel... Will he change it? Will he bring in Scales? I can't trust it. Hibs away. It's never an easy game and they're in a bit of form. They are in a bit of form compared to where they were. Yeah, so I'm going to go for Austin Trusty and Cameron Carter-Vickers. I'm going to go with Alistair Johnston and Greg Taylor. No, in fact, I'm not. I think... Will he stick with Jeffrey? Because maybe what's went on in the background is Taylor's went, look, I'm signing for this other team. And Brendan Rodgers has went, right then, I'll play Jeff to the end of the season. There's a chance that we might be able to get him in the summer. I'm only going to play players that are here. And Brendan Rodgers is like that. Schlupp should start. I think so. Evander Snow. God, remember him. Berkovic was pish. Yes, he was. And I see there was a bit of hurrah about Berkovic saying, it's because it was Israeli. It's because you were fucking shite, mate. Just deal with it. Anyway, that is the back four. I'm going to go with Schlupp. I'm going to go with Cameron Carter-Vickers and Trusty and Alistair Johnston. In the midfield, due to the fact that Paulo Bernardo is still injured, I think that Brendan Rodgers will go with Callum McGregor. I think he might bring in Luke McCowan and Arnie Engels and rest Reo Hatate. But we'll see. And then out wide, I think he'll go with Dice Maida and Nico Kuhn, if Nico Kuhn is okay. And I think Jota will not get a start against Hibs. And I think he'll go with Adam Ida through the middle. Play your strongest team. We only have to win another 7 or 8 games to win the title. Then Brendan can rest players. Exactly, Ian. And this game is the start of the run-in. Yes. It's what we've been waiting for all season. It's that time to start going that we're going for 55. Yep, we're going for 55. And it is the run into the season. Ralston will get a start. I don't think so. I'd side with Ian there. Play your strongest team until the season's done. Until it's mathematically impossible for us to then lose the league. Or it's mathematically impossible for anybody else to catch us, if you're of that kind of persuasion. If Greg Taylor isn't signing, then Greg Taylor isn't playing. Simple, says Ernest. But if Greg Taylor isn't playing, and we cannot afford to keep Jeffrey Sloop, who do you then play? Do you play Jeffrey Sloop just because Brendan and his Leicester pals said he was good? How many more wins do we do? I think it's 7. I think it's 7 more wins. The 55 season, the real 55. It is the real 55. It sucks having football only once a week now. Yeah, that's it. It's going to be... It's crap, isn't it? When you look at the games that are coming up, we'll get the full schedule. This weekend we have Hibernian away. And then on Tuesday the 25th we have Aberdeen at Celtic Park. And I totally cocked up. I should have flew back out on the Wednesday and went to the Celtic Aberdeen game. And then on the Saturday, the 1st of March, we've got a crazy 6:30 kickoff. 5:30, sorry, and 5:30 kickoff for television away to St Mirren. And then we're in the quarter final of the Scottish Cup on the 9th of March with a 3 o'clock kickoff. And then it goes to March the 16th, and we play the Sevconians at 12:30. And then we've got Hearts at Celtic Park. So we can't, unless they lose 2 games, we can't beat them to win the league. But when we beat them, I think that we could potentially win the league at home to Hearts, away to St Johnstone, or home to Kilmarnock. I think it'll be April the 12th that will win the league. I think it will be April the 12th at home to Kilmarnock. I think that's most likely. Kilmarnock at home or St Johnstone. Could be the fact that we win the league away at St Johnstone. Could be. It's going to be one of those 2 games. Either St Johnstone away or Kilmarnock at home. Kilmarnock at home would be a sweet one. That would be a sweet one. I must say it's a worry that we get a player not getting a game in his team before coming to us. Has been hailed as a star, Jeff. And away it shows the standards are very different. It does show the standards, and Jeffrey Sloop is a big built guy. He's a big built guy. He's not going to get pushed around quite as easily as Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor is fantastic in his own right as a player, and we know the limitations that he has at Champions League level, and that's why he's went with Jeffrey Sloop. Joseph says that they will drop a point before they play us. Let's hope. Hoping we end up 55 over them in goal difference. Can we end up on 55 in goal distance over them? We are sitting on goal difference of 64, and they're sitting on a goal difference of 34. So we would have to go hell for leather to get to that. A goal difference of 55. That'd be funny though. But it's just the Celtic way. It is the Celtic way. And will Brendan Rodgers make any... I'd love to see win it again at Sevco or Hearts. They will drop points. Sloop coming from an EPL team. It's not like he's coming from Queen's Park, says Jason. Maybe the Huns will lose 2 games before us and we will win the league playing them. Jota wasn't getting a game before he came to us. Either was Adam Ida. This is very, very true. Right, get your predictions. I know it's early and it's only Thursday night, but it is that time of night where I ask you to get your predictions. Gardening duty for Taylor for the rest of the season. Please, Paul, how was your trip to Germany? You did go to Germany, didn't you? I'm sure you were going to Germany. You were flying out at 7 in the morning. Depends how many more points that they drop, and we need to win each game. Right, I'm going to go for Hibs. I think that Celtic will win 3-0. I've just got a feeling. Gary says 3-0 the boys. Jamesy Boy says 3-2 is Celtic. I've said 3-0 to Celtic. Mr. Wrong says 4-0 to Celtic. Wilson QW is going for 4-3 Celtic. Andrew's going for 3-1. I hope that's the Celtic. Joseph Davison's going for 3-0. Craig is going for a tough 2-0 win. Willie's going for 3-1 Celtic. Paul's going for 4-2 Celtic. A cautious 2-1 win, says Flying Column. Kev's going for 2-0 Celtic. Stephen Johnson's going for 4-0. Borders Boys going for 3-0. Alan Stevenson's going for 4-1. Brown Warriors going for Hibs 1, Celtic 4. Jason Lee's going for a 2-0 and a boring game at 2-0. Mercury 81 is going for 4-0. Bojaws is going for 2-1. Hoopy is going, the young laugh that left us, the Senators alone. Delboy's going for 4-1. Paul's going for 3-1. Tony's going for 3-1. Paul Baird saying, Cole Bagrega's got home at 4 p.m. today. Fantastic. I know guys that are still there. I know guys that are still over there. And I know guys that flew from Germany to Alicante to then fly back to the UK. And some guys are staying in Spain for a couple of days. I can't say too much. Hoopy's going for 3-1. Eddie is going for 3-1. Mick Celtic is going for 3-0. William's going for just a win. 5-0. They will fear our wrath. Will Celtic go on a goal scoring spree? We've been not too bad when it comes to games after the Champions League. 6-2. Scales and Ralston to play. Estepona Boys 2-0 Celtic. Richard Murphy's going for 3-0 Celtic. St Mirren will take points off the Daubers. 2D Dugs is going for 6-0 Celtic. That's a cracking name. Oh, you need to let me just go to the channel. Got a playlist, Vimo player. Sometimes when you see a channel name, you're like, God, just go and have some cracking funny content. Mobley's going for Jota will become as admired as Henke before he leaves us. Richard Murphy's going for 3-0. And Paul said win the league at home 3-1 Celtic against Hibs. Stephen Docherty's going for 3-0. Any kind of win, especially after the Bayern game. I can't see Hibs scoring in the last couple of minutes to level the game. And I think that Celtic have got a point to prove now. I think that the fact that Brendan Rodgers said to the players in the dressing room after the game, he said, look, you've done fantastically well. You've done more than we expected tonight. You've risen to a level that we now know we can play at. Now we need to continue that. We need to continue that to the end of the season. We've got a league to win. The game's not over. There's still a lot to play for. You've got to become champions now. This is you. You have to work to earn the right to come back and play teams like Borussia Dortmund, to play teams like Atalanta, to come to these magnificent stadiums and play in the Champions League. If you want that next year, you go out and perform like this week in, week out until we have won the league. We decide when we win it. We go out and we win it in style. That's Brendan Rodgers' comment to the players going onto the pitch tomorrow. And I think that he will know, and Brendan said it last year, this is Celtic's time. This is when we turn up. This is when we turn up and it's heads up, shoulders back, and let's go out and do this. We've got 7 games to win the league. Let's do it in style. Let's show these fans how good we really are. They've nothing to fear. Absolutely nothing to fear. We go into every single game with the exact same attitude as we went into the game in Germany. It's as simple as that. We get the league done and dusted, and then they could sit back and go, come the middle of August, we've got a qualifier to play. Rodgers will be here for at least 3 seasons. Let's hope he extends for more. Andrew says, show everyone we can play like Tuesday, week in, week out, and not taking our foot off the pedal. Exactly. Why don't we buy the Huns and sell them scrap? Yep. I would make it an Asda and put Paul the Tim in as manager. Could you imagine that? Paul the Tim's getting a promotion. Putting you in charge of a new shop, Paul. It's in Govan. There you go. Play like Germany and we're laughing, says Paul. I think so. I think if we play like we did in Germany, teams are going to be like, oh my friggin' God. Do you know, there's no letting up. There's no letting up. If Brendan says this is Celtic time, this is our time, this is when we show what we are made of. Rodgers is leaving next summer, confirmed on Martin O'Neill interview. No, he didn't. I've watched the Martin O'Neill interview. He did not confirm he was leaving next summer. Need to make it a little. There's already an Asda there. Clean sheet Casper till the end of the season. Yes, it will be. Is there any chance that we can win the league on the next derby game? Not really, no. When you look at it, let me just get it. So we have got Hibernian at away this weekend. Tuesday we play Aberdeen at Celtic Park. We play St Mirren away. That's going to be a difficult game as well. And then we play Rangers. So we've got 4 games. I can't see them dropping. Can't see them getting beat twice in the next 4 games. They would have to get beat twice, and we would have to beat them. You never know. It could happen. If they were to lose another 2 games, oh my goodness, the meltdowns, and their fans would just be like, oh, it was like, if that was to happen. He has a 3-year deal expiring next summer. Yep, next summer. So he won't be away this summer. He's been talking about next season in the Champions League. Sevco 69ers. It's Sevco 2012ers. Anyway, right, we've had the score lines. I will be back first thing tomorrow morning. Not easy running for us, but we can do it. Well, we've still got the split. I mean, when you look at it, we've got Hibernian, we've got Aberdeen, you've got St Mirren. We've got Hibernian in the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup. We play Sevco, then we play Hearts at home. We're then away to St Johnstone. It's either the away to St Johnstone game where we'll win the league, or at home to Kilmarnock. And I think it'll be at home to Kilmarnock. We've won, and the reason I'm saying that is we've won the league so many times away to Kilmarnock. Away at Kilmarnock. Over the years, we've won the league a few times down in Kilmarnock. And I just think that the reverse happening, Kilmarnock coming to Celtic Park and we beat Kilmarnock to win the league, I just think it's written in the stars. And then you've got the split. So after the split, Brendan Rodgers will just stick with the tried and tested and try out some of the youth players. Anyway, Baz, we've got to keep Big Phil on a job for next season. The meltdowns have been brilliant this year. Yes, they have. Exactly, the board has to step up. Have a nice evening. And Kaiser gets the last one. Hail Legends. Great upload, Baz. Upload, it's live, mate. It's not uploaded, this is live. Live. Well, the time down there tells you. Anyway, have a fantastic evening wherever you are, Celtic fans all around